UltiPro software. It's owned by Ultimate Software. You may remember me mentioning earlier that Kronos and Ultimate Software merged earlier in 2020. And UltiPro software is a very common system for human capital management that's used by a lot of larger organizations. So Ultimate Software has been around for a long time. Their product offering is very mature. I think the company was founded about 30 years ago, if I remember correctly. And longevity isn't always a sign of success, but that does go to show the sort of competencies that have been built over the years. And during that time, we've seen a lot of larger organizations use the product. It's a pretty robust product. It's a good alternative to SuccessFactors, because if you're a large organization and you have complex HCM and HR needs in general, UltiPro can be a good alternative to that, especially if you're not implementing S/4HANA as part of your overall ERP implementation, or if you don't plan to. And a couple other unique factors with UltiPro are that it can handle employee engagement surveys, much like SuccessFactors can, that I mentioned before. And it also handles employee document management very well. So if you have a lot of certifications and paperwork and things that need to be signed either for regulatory purposes or for your own internal policy purposes, UltiPro software can be a very robust option to help you manage the employee paperwork side of things and really help transition you from a lot of paper and manual processes to more of a automated type of environment. So with all those things being said, that's enough to land UltiPro at number 3 on our list. Workday. It's a system that many of you have heard of. It's the newest system that's been around the least amount of time in our top 5 list, but it's grown phenomenally over the first few years of the first decade of its existence. It was built as a cloud solution, so it's got a certain amount of maturity and advanced cloud capabilities if that's important to you. It's not a system that's being migrated from on-premise to the cloud. It was already built in the cloud, which can be appealing to a lot of organizations. Workforce is very common in healthcare, government, hospitals, education. There's certain industry niches that it seems to do really well in. But having said that, we also see some manufacturing and distribution and aerospace and food types of companies use it as well. It's fairly industry agnostic, like a lot of our HCM top list is, but those tend to be some of the segments that they are the strongest in and that we tend to see the most commonly. A couple other things to note about Workday. They are an HCM first type of system, but they have in some ways become sort of the Salesforce of the HCM space. For those of you that don't know, Salesforce is a CRM or customer relationship management system that's cloud-based. But the reason I call Workday the Salesforce of HCM is because Salesforce and Workday are both taking a similar strategy in that they're building a whole ecosystem of third-party applications that support their product outside of their core areas of competency. So in the case of Workday, they've built and allowed third-party application developers to start building functionality that is outside the HCM space or supports the core HCM space. So for example, Workday has started to build financial capabilities. That's allowed them to provide more of an ERP type of capability, a back office financial type of capability. So companies that want to lead with HCM but might want to add financials, or they might want to add other competencies later on, will find that the Workday ecosystem is getting bigger, and there's more and more third-party applications and third-party developers that are building systems that can bolt onto the Workday platform. Now, probably the biggest risk and the biggest thing keeping Workday from being at the number 1 slot in our list is, first of all, the track record. They have less of a track record than some of the other systems in our top 5. But the biggest thing is that there have been a number of implementation challenges with the company. The company has grown very quickly, and what I think is happening there is that we're having a discrepancy or high variation in the quality of resources and the quality of implementations. We as a company have been asked to clean up a number of Workday implementations. We've been asked to come in and help evaluate replacements for Workday because the Workday implementations didn't go well, and so now they're looking for alternatives to replace Workday. So that is still a minority of the time. A majority are not in that situation, but relative to the number of installations that Workday is seeing, there appears to be a higher number of troubled Workday implementations. That may not all be related to the software. A lot of that is related to the way it's being implemented, but it's something to be very aware of in that there is a concerning trend in the space. And until that settles down, until we see the Workday's growth isn't getting the best of them, that's going to probably hold them back a bit. But having said all that, it's a very strong product. A lot of companies are very successful with it. That's enough to land Workday at number 2 on our list.